Rachel Spencer here, and this is my Module 8, Get This Boy Out of My Room, and you have a picture of Carl here. A brief summary of this case study. It was kind of hard for me to read because I was reading it from the school psychologist's point of view. Rachel Spencer here with my case study from Module 8 about Carl, Get This Boy Out of My Room, and here you have a picture of Carl. A brief summary of this case study actually is kind of what I deal with on a daily basis. It's a rules co-op. The SPED teacher doesn't have a lot of support. I'm assuming that her directors and assistant directors cover a lot of area, which is quite typical out here where I live. So she needs to find support and guidance in her school district. The only problem with that is her principal is also a general ed teacher, which could be very difficult, especially when you have Ms. Taylor, who's also a general ed teacher, upset with you. Along with that is she is young and replacing a SPED teacher who has done things the same way, it seems like, for about 25 years. So people are used to her routines, what she'll do and what she won't do, what she'll put up with. And so Susan's kind of experiencing some of that with Miss Taylor, who was just like, no, she would have taken Carl out of my room. I wouldn't have to deal with him. And that's not okay, and Susan knows that, so she's coming up with a plan. She just needs support to do that. Carl in the past has been self-abusive, but has turned that towards Miss Taylor. So the team needs to come up with a plan to figure out what will help Carl be successful in school, and Susan is ready and willing to do that with the superintendent, who seems like he is helpful. The thing is, as Carl's parents are going through a divorce, which is not helping the situation at all. And when they come to the meeting, when Susan finally gets them to come to the meeting, you know, she's all excited, she has a plan, she's ready to go, and then it's always such a letdown when you can't get a hold of parents. They come and they're not the most positive. Carl's mom seems like she's willing to help, but medicine always isn't the answer, and the dad is just kind of like, get me out of here. So Susan has a lot on her plate. There's a lot going on. Carl needs a lot of help. The team needs a lot of help. And so here are just some ways to kind of help with that situation. Okay, so what do I know? I know that I have a SPED teacher that needs support, whether this comes from the co-op or from the superintendent, or maybe even just a teacher she gets along well with in the school district. Carl's parents are going through a rough divorce. It seems like Carl might be the last thing on their mind, and so he is probably having some outbursts at school. Typically, or in the past, it has been self-harm or self-abusive, and now he is putting his aggression towards Miss Taylor. Also, Miss Taylor is feeling threatened and wants Carl out of her class now. She doesn't want to come up with a plan. She doesn't want to do any of the IEP stuff. In my opinion, she just wants to get him out of there now. And I have a lot of teachers like that. What do I need to know? What has worked for Carl in the past? What does his old IEP say? Did he have a safety zone? Were they working on self-regulation? What has worked? Also, has an FBA been done? Is there any signs? What happens before, during, or after the conflict or the outburst? What do we need to look out for? What do we need to know? And also, as an administrator, you have to be careful, because not only do you have to support your special education teacher, you also have to support your general education teacher. And if your general ed teacher is upset with your SPED teacher, that could put you in an awkward position. So you have to stay as diplomatic as possible, help them both as much as you can. Because even though your SPED teacher does work for a co-op and her paycheck comes from a different place, she's still your teacher in your building. Also, a plan of action that the team could talk about. Have the school sped teacher find the school psychologist. Now, I know that they have a crazy schedule and they're all over the place, but many schools, the school psychologist will help you. I know our co-op has a behavior coach. That can be an option. Complete those FBAs and BIPs. Now, if Miss Taylor just wants Carl out of her room, I don't know how willing she will be to put into the work, but you got to stay positive. You got to present it like they are going to do it. They are going to do it well and with a loving heart, and just hope it all goes well. Also, have them do some classroom observations. Have them go sit in there, do a time on task. See what the other kids are doing when he has explodes towards Miss Taylor, and just get some of that hard baseline data. Also, you could also have the counselor start meeting with Carl about divorce and use a curriculum using social stories. He's obviously not getting the emotional support at home that he needs, and mom's overwhelmed, and dad just seems like he's kind of checked out. So that support will not only help him at school through the social stories, but at home as well. And help foster good relationships between the teachers. I know this one sounds maybe a little petty, but I never knew how much school politics played a role in doing my job until the past couple of years. It is insane. If you have teachers that are not getting along, you will have a building in turmoil, and it will not be the best situation for Carl either. Okay, meet with the team. What are the priority is a success for all students. So meet with the team and talk about the data from the FBA and go over that. So when you do that, you may find some things about in the classroom that can help other students. Like, oh my gosh, I noticed before recess, it's just chaos. So what can we do to help all students, not just Carl? Also, make sure the other students are safe if Carl has an outburst towards Miss Taylor, so they could leave the room, or he could leave the room like they were talking about in the IEP plan in this case study, or what's best for all students. Also, one thing is also email the SPED director and let their SPED teacher know that they may need support. And that's a huge one to me. Sometimes my SPED directors don't know when I need support because I won't ask. So sometimes asking for them may seem a little awkward, but it's really nice. Some things that I feel like is Carl needs to feel loved at school. He's obviously not getting it at home. Miss Taylor isn't providing it, so maybe Susan can or the counselor can. And he could gain that feeling from meeting with the counselor or the SPED teacher, or, even the school psychologist if she's in the building. Carl needs to be taught self-regulation to regulate his aggressive behavior due to his emotions. This will help him be successful in the classroom, and it'll help him keep his peers safe, and it'll also help him if he's in a hostile home environment, and he'll just take those skills through adulthood. Continued, pulling Carl out of the classroom is not the answer, and I want to make this clear full time. Like pulling him out and not having him enjoy his free and appropriate education, being with the other students is not the answer, but taking him out for small breaks may not only benefit his mental health, but Miss Taylor's as well. If she's that aggravated with him, she may need a little break too. And then a positive reward system for Carl when he doesn't have outbursts, or it seems like he may need some kudos for when he is doing something awesome or great. And I really like Class Dojo. I would suggest that to the IEP team. It's online. Parents can check in on it. Anyone can check on it if they have the password. It's cute little monsters. Kids love it. They dig it. I think it's a great behavior tool. Also, what are some things that are unresolved? Where support will come from for the SPED teacher in the future? Like, get a plan. Like, I remember sitting in my office my first year and wondering, who's going to help me? Who's my tribe? Is it okay to call? Is it not? So, show Susan some love and support and tell her she's doing the right thing. Also, is Miss Taylor going to be able to show Carl empathy in the future? Is she going to be able to turn it around and love him and do what's the best for him? Also, what does Carl go home to at night? Does he need help? Does he need a plan? Does there need to be communication? Giving him those skills to regulate himself are very important. Okay, so when you look at the standard 2, and you kind of look at this and read through it a couple times, talking about like the modeling the behavior that conveys that all students have promise and when placed in a culture that ensures inclusive behaviors. Well, even though Carl's having some outbursts, he still deserves to be in the classroom. And really, through Class Dojo and the IEP team and the pulling out intermittently, I think he can really be successful in the classroom. And I really think that he is reachable, he is teachable, and he is capable. Okay, so how would you promote academic success for all students? Help make the classroom a more positive experience for Carl and his peers. They may feel a little scared when he's having his outbursts, so just making sure that it's a positive, happy place. Give the classroom teacher behavior tools, not only help Carl, but with other students as well. That's where your Class Dojo comes in, or any other behavior tool that maybe the school psychologist could help you with, or even the school counselor if the psychologist is traveling a lot too. And promote positive relationships between Miss Taylor, Susan, and parents. So this is especially for Miss Taylor and Susan because they're in the same building and it's a small building and they will see each other quite often. So make sure that they are good to go and make sure that they are communicating with parents and giving them the support that they need as well. Promote well-being for all students. You could do this by inclusion for all students. You know, we keep talking about Carl cannot be pulled out of the classroom for the whole entire day. Little bits and pieces is fine, but he needs to be included as well. But when is inclusion for one, not inclusion for all? So when is he being aggressive? Is that inclusion for all students? So pulling him or having them leave the room is great. Also, the mental health of all students. You don't want them sitting there wondering when and if Carl is going to explode that day, and help to calm their nerves. Also, provide all the students with a happy teacher. And I keep going back to that because if you don't have a happy general education teacher, or any teacher for that case, your students aren't going to be happy. So check in with Ms. Taylor and see if she's doing okay and how it's going with Carl, and ask if she needs any support. How would I enhance the instructional capacity is make sure that IEP is being followed. It's there for a reason. It's a legal binding document. It is a tool to help you be a great teacher to Carl, for him to have a good day, for him to have a good year. I mean, we have to follow those religiously because, like I said, it's legal. Provide a free and appropriate education for Carl and all of his peers. And also, I put in here foster school community because, like I keep saying, if you have school politics that are awry in your building, then it is going to be a tough and rough year. And having another general ed teacher being the principal to another general ed teacher is just going to cause chaos. So, all right. Thank you.